Welcome everybody to another video on the channel. This will be our third upload of the week, and don't judge me, I'm not just a tramp and wear the same top in every video. I've recorded the 3 videos for this week on the same night around like 6, 7 o'clock UK time, so don't blame me for that. This is just how it's best for me to record this week. But as I've said on the videos, thank you for the support so far. In this video today, we're going to be looking at a look forward, a look ahead to Game Week 29, which is, as we would call it, a blank game week where not every team plays, so there's very limited fixtures. As you can see on the screen, there's only 4 fixtures in that game week, so it's quite a difficult week to navigate past without pre-planning for it. So any transfers you're making this week as well, you should be bearing that in your mind. This can be disregarded if you're going to, for example, free hit in Game Week 29. But this video will also be useful because it will highlight players that you should be targeting on your free hit. I think next week as well, I will build a free hit draft. For example, if I was on a free hit, I've already used my free hit, so I won't be doing it personally, but I'll build what I would do on the free hit if I was in your guys' position, so you can see it from different sides. So this video is going to do an overview of these games, and like I said, you should be building towards this already, and if not, utilising your transfers in Game Week 28 to help facilitate getting through this game week. So, like I say on every video, socials are down there on the bottom of the screen for you. Come contact me on any of them. We stream on Twitch. I'm active on Twitter as well. Any comments you have on the videos, please leave them below or just contact me on any of those socials. I really appreciate any feedback you can give, and thank you for the support so far. Just change to the other screen then. So looking at these fixtures then. So like I said, there's only 4 fixtures, so you need to bear in mind, you need to try have a good amount of players to get through these fixtures. So from my point of view, you don't need to have 11 players. You should be looking for quality over quantity here. Like, you don't want to buy 3 Leeds defenders just because you need Leeds players, for example. You need, like, you might want a Rafinha instead because he's a better option rather than getting 2 Leeds defenders. So, in my mind, a good number for players to have in this week is 8. If you have 8 and they are incredible, well, want some of the best options, you've definitely got nothing to worry about. I'd even argue 7 you're fine with as well if you've got the right players to go with. So we'll look through these fixtures and just pick out who I expect to win and then the key assets from each fixture. So we're looking at Fulham Leeds. I think if we looked at this like a month ago, we'd be saying Leeds, they'll run away with it, but Fulham have improved massively in my opinion. So this could be a tough game, but especially in a blank game week, I feel you have to kind of back a certain result to happen to see the benefit. So, for example, when I'm going to go for this fixture, I'm going to back Leeds to do quite well in this game. So my current plan is to triple up on Leeds players. So if I was looking to get 3 Leeds players in, hopefully you'll have 1 or 2 maybe already. But my 3 top picks for Leeds would be Bamford, Rafinha and Dallas. That's 1 of each position as well, so it gives you a good spread. Really, unless you're going for a value pick in defence, you're not going to get better than Dallas. There's not particularly a lot of other options you want to really go for in Leeds with up front and in midfield because they get rotated a lot, so you've not got guaranteed that they're going to play. If you're picking these 3 players, you're 95% guaranteed they're all going to play. So that gives you a bit of comfort that you're always going to have 3 players that are going to play at minimum. And you need to sometimes, because it's a blank game week, you need to make sure you guarantee those minutes. Even if I said you need the quality, but you also need some reassurance that they're going to play. There's no, for example, when we get down to Villa down below, Grealish would have been such an obvious pick for this week, but because he's an injury doubt, I wouldn't be taking the risk on him because you can't really afford to make that kind of luxury transfer when you're just trying to get as many points as you can. So like I said, I will be back in Leeds in this fixture, but there's also some decent Fulham assets. So if you're thinking defensively, you've got if you've not got a goalkeeper who's going to play in this game week, Areola is a fantastic option. Even if they do concede, he's going to get quite a few save points, you would hope, if Leeds are on form, if they can hit the target. I just saw the game last night and they couldn't hit a barn door when they're playing West Ham. But normally, they'd get a lot of shots away. And there's a chance that Fulham could still get a clean sheet. Because I've also written down here Anderson that I've seen in defence, or Arneson, however you say his name. He has looked very solid in defence and has been a big reason behind why Fulham have been doing good defensively. The Fulham fullbacks seem to get rotated slightly, so I'm a bit hesitant on the fullbacks. But if you wanted a cheap defender, Arneson you could go for. But like I said, the best defensive pick from them would be the goalkeeper if I was going for one. I have Areola, but I also have Martinez, so I'm probably going to play Martinez as it is. The only other real Fulham, there's a small case for Madger up front, but I'm not fully convinced about him yet. But if you were looking for a midfielder or attacker from Fulham, I think Lookman is a decent option. He's, I think, 5 million still, so he's a cheap asset that you could keep after the game week as well. He could just sit on your bench. He's not going to take up a lot of your budget in total. So he's a good option if you think Fulham could do quite well in that game. When I'm looking at game week 28 and 29, and from past results, I don't expect Fulham to score a lot of goals. So that's why I'd be more inclined to go for like an Areola if he's going for a Fulham, because they seem to have a lot of 0-0s or 1-0s. So it's not one I would expect you to have a triple up on. You could maybe double with a Lookman and an Areola. I wouldn't go more than that. If you've got one, that's more than enough, in my opinion. So we go to Brighton and Newcastle. This is a bit of a funny one. I think it's kind of a joke, an ongoing joke with Brighton this season that their XG is high. They should always score goals, but they just can't put it in the net. So they're terrible at just finishing the chances off. If they had a good out-and-out goal scorer, they'd score so many goals. But on the flip side, they are pretty solid defensively. So again, like I said, if you're making a bet on these fixtures, I think you need to choose who you think is going to do better in this game. So if I was betting on this game, I would say Brighton would win like 1 or 2-0. So the main bit I see in this fixture is a Brighton clean sheet. So if I'm going for Brighton assets, I've got Dan Burn, who's 4.2 million, is again, like I said with Lookman, is a great value option that you could keep after. He could just be on your bench, and he's not particularly. You probably don't even need to get rid of him afterwards. You could just, because you're not going to get a defender much cheaper, so you can just be a bench option for the rest of the season. You might play him for like 2 fixtures the rest of the game, but he's going to get you some points this week. He's playing every game. He sometimes plays like quite attacking fullback, and he ends up in the box. He's not got many contributions, but he does get into the box, and you can see that. And then you've got other value options at the back. For example, Ben White would be another one if you want to double up on Brighton. Again, similar to Fulham, this is the fixture that could go either way. So, one Brighton, like if you go for a Burn, no issue with that. I'm not convinced about Brighton's attack at all. When I'm looking at this fixture, the only players I would want are Brighton defenders. You could go for like a Trossard, but then you've got the issue where he could get rotated. So this fixture, I'd be putting all my eggs in one basket and go for Brighton defence. Newcastle don't look great in attack. Wilson's out. Like Sam Maximan could do something special, but I would hope for a Brighton clean sheet. So the main one I'd be targeting there was Burn, and I might look to bring him in game week 28 to get ahead of the plan and get him in, and it saves you some cash as well. If you downgrade into a 4.2 million defender, you can spend that elsewhere, which will be helpful after game week 29 as well. Right, so the 2 fixtures at the bottom, I think they're all good teams, and these fixtures could go either way. So again, you need to think in your mind who you think is going to do better in this fixture. Take the fixture in isolation based on the form, what is going on. So based on the fact Arsenal don't have great FPL picks, I will be back in West Ham in this fixture. So the obvious ones to target here are Antonio, Lingard. If you want a bit cheaper, you've got Souček. Arsenal could be done from set pieces. They're not the biggest team in the world, Arsenal, so Souček. And then there's also Cresswell at the back, who's got a very good delivery from set pieces. Cresswell, I think, is the joint highest assisting defender this season so far. So he's a very good option. There's a lot of options from West Ham that I would be backing for here. I've written down here that I would triple upon Leeds, triple upon West Ham, and triple on someone we're going to discuss on the next fixture. So if I was tripling up on West Ham, I'd be going Antonio, Lingard, and Cresswell, with a little question mark over Lingard if you should have Souček instead, just because if you're getting Lingard in game week 28, you can't play against Man United. So if you're making a transfer in game week 28, don't be bringing Lingard in at that point. Unless, well, if you've got a really good bench where you can afford to bench Lingard, then it is an option to still do it. But if you want the other option, you can go for Souček. So looking at Arsenal, the only assets I could really get behind was Saka and Aubameyang. Saka, because of the value, again, he's a very budget pick. You can bench him for the rest of the time, stick him in for the good fixtures. So Saka is my top Arsenal pick. I can see Arsenal scoring this game. Cresswell is the bottom of my list for West Ham assets because they could concede, but he could also get an assist, which cancels out the effect of that clean sheet going. And then, if you really want to use funds, you can go Aubameyang. I've reluctantly written him down because he's a favourite from past FPL seasons. But if I was going for an Arsenal asset, I'd be going for Saka. So, yeah, the defence, I fully expect West Ham to score at home. I'll be surprised if West Ham don't score at home and they're in really good form, unless they get a significant injury in the time being. I'm full on for West Ham in this fixture. Like I said, I'm going to triple up on Leeds. I'm already tripled up on Leeds. I'm going to try triple up on West Ham. And we might also move on to the next fixture and say we might treble up on Spurs. Certainly, we're considering an attacking treble up. But my plan currently is to treble up on Leeds, treble up on West Ham, and treble up on Spurs. Spurs is the least likely one to happen, purely because Villa's defence is pretty solid, and I'm not overly convinced by Spurs. I want to see how they perform in the North London derby. If they don't perform great, I'll go with one or two Spurs players. But if you're looking for a differential and you fully back Spurs, I have no issue with going Kane, Son, Bale. There's not going to be a lot of people who have that firepower. And in this week, there's going to be a really low-scoring week. If you get the right team that's going to score bundles of points, for example, if Antonio and Lingard got 3 contributions between them, or even 4 between them, that could give you a big rank jump because you've got the correct fixture for the points. Like, for example, if the top fixtures are both 0-0, unless you've got defenders, you're not going to get a lot of points. So if you've got treble Spurs attack, there's a lot of gain you can get from that. So again, it's rank chasing. If you bet on Spurs doing well, that is a very good option. Because when I'm looking at Spurs, it's really their attack. I've only wrote down Davinson Sanchez seems to be the only nailed defender, but I'm not convinced they'll keep a clean sheet against Villa. So if you go and treble Spurs, you go treble attack. If you're a bit more conservative, go for just a Kane or a Son, or you can double up on them, a Kane, Son, or a Kane and a Bale, for example. I think Kane... midfield is the place where I'm personally struggling this week. I feel if you're going for your attackers, you've got quite a lot of good options. You've got Bamford, you've got Kane is probably one of the essential ones. You've got Watkins, you've got Antonio. You've got a lot of attacking options, but midfield is the place where we're lacking a lot of options. So that's why Saka, Lingard, and then maybe a double up on Spurs, you could actually see a lot of benefit. So, like I said, I'd probably back Spurs in this fixture, but I'm hesitant to see how they perform in the North London derby. And again, Villa are very good defensively. So even if I back Spurs in this game, I would consider playing Martinez because I think he'll get the save points, and they could always get a clean sheet in the end. I mentioned above as well about Grealish. If I saw Grealish play a fixture for 90 minutes, I was hoping he came back last week and you could see him play. I would be getting Grealish in 100% for this week. But because it's a blank game week and you've not got any cover on your bench, you need to make sure they start. So you go for a safer option with like a Traore or a Watkins. If you also bear in mind the 28th fixture they've got, which is away to Newcastle, it's a good. If you're making a transfer in game week 28, bringing in a Villa player is a good option for you for both of those weeks. So I'd be more thinking to get Watkins or I think Traore is the second best attacking option when Grealish isn't fit. So I would be looking at one of those for Villa, and then, like I said, Martinez. For this game, I'd be surprised if they kept a clean sheet, but I have no issue you going for a defender as well. I think in game week 28 you could double up on Villa, but then game week 29 you'd be a bit hesitant doubling up on Villa's defence. But if you're going for that, I could see Tottenham blanking it. It's how you see the game going again. You don't want to have two Villa defenders and then three Spurs attackers because you can't win really there. Because if Kane scores, he's going to wipe out Martinez's clean sheet. So there's no real value in that. So, like I've said when I've been going for down these fixtures, you need to bet on one team doing well, or bet for someone to get a clean sheet, or a lot of goals, and back that decision. Don't be doing what I said: 2 Villa players, 3 Spurs players. That's not going to really help you. You could make the argument, for example, if you had a Bale and a Traore, that's fine. They're both midfielders. They're not really going to impact each other's points. But if you're going for a Kane and a Martinez, that's just there's no benefit in doing that at all. So, like I've said, my main message in this round of fixtures is gamble on a fixture. So, for my opinion, how I'm currently looking at the game week is, first fixture Titan Leeds. I've already got my treble up for Leeds ready to go. Brighton Newcastle, it's the worst fixture of the lot in terms of points, in my opinion. So I'm looking at a Brighton defender and not a lot more on top of that. West Ham and Arsenal, I'm back in West Ham. I'm probably going to treble up on West Ham. I've currently got double. I've got a midfielder and an attacker. I might go for a Cresswell or another midfielder because I said midfielder is quite limited. If you like in this fixture, there's no issue with you going for like an Antonio and a Saka. If you think it's going to end up like 3-1, 2-2, there's no issue for you going for 2 midfielders. This could be an actual decent one to go for midfielders. Even the Villa Spurs one would be quite good. So I'm going treble West Ham. And then I'm definitely having 1 Spurs. Probably 2. So at the minute I'm leaning towards 2 Spurs and then Martinez in goal. Just because of me not wanting to take hits on these transfers. So at the minute I'll be lining up 3 Leeds, 3 West Ham, 1 Brighton, and then a mixture between anyone else I can get. So because at the minute I'm probably aiming to get 9, maybe 10 playing players in this game week, which is more than enough. From like I said, 7 or 8 should be your target really. So I'm hoping that gives you a bit of a background and gives you a bit of preparation, which you should be. If you haven't made your game week 28 transfers, bear this week in mind, especially if you've not got a free hit. If you've got a wild card, you could get around it somewhat. But if you've got a wild card, you don't really want to be wild carding for this game week because it limits you to these players. Ideally, you'll tailor your team to get through this week, and then if you're not happy with it, wild card in 30 or 31. Just to renovate your team ready for the final push for like the last 8 weeks or so. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. I'd expect it to be a really low scoring week, and there'll be certain assets that'll be heavily invested in, like your Kane, for example. But looking at the other fixtures, well, Kane, Bamford are going to be, everyone's going to be on that bandwagon. Then you could have a bit of dispute between Antonio and Watkins. But it's going to be a very interesting week. So we've got, when does the game week start? The game week doesn't start until the 19th. So you've got over a week. So if you've got any questions, even if you're unsure what transfers to make for game week 28 going forward to 29, just let me know in the comments below. Reach out to me on Twitter. We stream on Twitch as well. So any of these channels, if you need any help with anything, you have no issue with you asking me, and I'll help you, of course I will. This is what these videos are for, and building a community to help you guys well and help everyone do well. Obviously, I want myself to do well at the same time, and we'll be on this ride together. So again, I appreciate everyone tuning in for this video. It's a bit of a longer one than the other ones, but I think this is a very good video that you can use for both the next 2 weeks for preparing for game week 29, and I hope it's useful. So again, if you subscribe or like to the channel or the video, that's really appreciated. Everything really helps me, and thanks for the support so far. And like I said, be in contact if you need any help, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one, everyone. Good night.